All right, here we go. Exercise 3 has 2 labs associated with it. Let's take a look at those real quick. I'm going to give you help with one. The other one I'm going to leave up to you, and I'm going to probably go ahead and choose what I think is the tougher of the two. So let's take a look at those. So on page 42 of your book, we have L3 and then L3B. L3B, looking at it, it's really more practice on the revolve tool. So we get some more practice with sketching, getting a little bit more, refining our skills a little bit with that. But just remember with this one that you're going to sketch this section right here. Okay, we're going to get that really nice. But first, before we start that out, let's go ahead and put an axis in here, a center line in here, and set those dimensions off of there that need to be set off of there. And then once we're done with this, then we're going to revolve that sketch around that axis, and we'll end up with that part. Okay, you got that one. Get stuck, reach out for some help, send me an email, stop by office hours Tuesday afternoon online. I will be there and I will help you get through that one. All right, let's take a look at L3. A little bit harder of the two. We talked about some additional technical drawing things. We talked about the idea of multi-view drawings. We have one here. We have our most descriptive view up on the front. Then we have the top projection projected from here up to show the top, here to the left to show the left side, here to the right to show the right side, and then the associated information. So let's dig into it a little bit. We have this primary view. Let's look at this. We have a radius of 1.5. We have a radius of 0.6 down here. And I know this one is a little bit more crowded than some of the other ones, so we're walking through how to set this up. We have centers that are 2 inches apart for each of those radii. We have a 35-degree angle called out, which is going to be from here to here. Okay, because we have an arrow here, the leader there, and we have one there that's showing us that 35-degree angle. And then when we look at the side, on the left side view, we see that we have some rounds. Okay, a half-inch round and a quarter-inch round. And if we look at this isometric view up here, we see that half-inch round. On that top edge of the part, we see that quarter-inch round here. And let's keep working our way around. So on the right side view, we see a 16-degree typical draft called out. And that is showing us that there is an angle to this part that runs all the way around it. And we can see it when we go here. We see there's 2 steps in the side. There's the round 1/4 of an inch. This is that 16-degree of draft. Here it is right here, below where that round starts. So it goes all the way around. Now coming over here, we see something new. We see the section AA. We also saw something a little weird on this primary view where we see a couple arrows. We see direction of an arrow, and then we see some letters associated with that. See how those match up? We have A, and then A, and we have section AA. With section view, what it is, section view is where we choose a line. That's arbitrary. It's up to you to put it where it wants to be. And in this case, it is running vertically through the center of this part. And then that line we choose becomes a cut line. So what we're showing in the sectional view is that part cut right along that line, cut in half. And when we cut a part in half, we're able to see what the difference between what's solid and what is open. So solid and open is going to be shown by hatching here. That's going to be our solid. That's going to be the part of the part. So the metal of the part, if this was made out of brass, like it shows in the picture, this would be brass here. All these parts that are hatched are going to be brass. And then the stuff that's open is just that. It's open space. It's negative space. So when we look to the right here, we see 100 thousandths typical offset between this outside object line and then the inside, and then 16 degrees of draft. And when we look back here, that is what we're talking about, is this feature right here that I'm Drawing a line around the outside of, so that's all open space. We see that 16-degree angle right here that mirrors and is parallel to the one on the outside that was spec'd out over here, right? 16 degrees. So that is right there, and that goes up for a quarter of an inch. So a quarter of an inch is open of this 610 thousandths of total depth of the part. And then we also see that pass-through hole, which is called out over here, 1 inch. Goes all the way through the part. And then we also see this little keyway, which is right here, shown on the top view, that primary view there, right there. Right there. All right, so let's work on this. We're going to start right here. We have 2 inches between centers, a radius of 0.6, a radius of 1.5, an angle of 35 degrees. Let's get into Creo and let's see what we can do. All right, so we have a new part started up. We're going to start off by doing, let's start this time. Let's go ahead and let's just go right for an extrude. Okay. And we're going to cancel out of there. Let's go for an extrude. We don't have anything there yet, so let's go ahead and start with a sketch. Go to the front, click on that sketch, and let's get to drawing here. All right, so first thing we need, let's get a center line in there, because when we're looking at this part of things, we're looking at a line, we're looking at an angle that we got to set up there. So let's just mirror one line to the other side, because the part is symmetrical one side to the other. And let's draw that line, making sure that it doesn't lock to anything else quite yet. There we go. Center click to end. Come on up to mirror. Click on that center line that we created. Come on up to the arc. Go from here to there. Okay. Lock that guy in. Let's double click. Let's get some dimensions in here. Okay, let's get this set right here. So let's get this arc dimension in there. Okay, and that is 0.6. Scales everything from there. Let's go ahead and replace this angle dimension because it's giving us an angle from here to here. We really want it from here to here. So if we come in, we right click on that thing, assuming we get out of the dimension tool. So we're no longer on the dimension tool, it's no longer selected. We left click on there once. And we get this replace, and then we choose here, here, come up, center click there, change that to 35. Okay. Good so far. Right, let's get that back to front view. Let's come in and let's draw that other tangent arc. Let's go ahead and make it look like it kind of did in the picture. Now, the dimensions aren't quite perfect yet, but we're going to fix that. Okay. And let's double center click on the perimeter edge there, and let's fix these dimensions here. 1.6 for that one. We have 35 degrees, 0.6 down here, and then we just got to set up a distance of 2 inches from here to here. So dimension tool. I'll left click on that center. I'll left click on this one. Right click off in space, 2. And we have our overall shape of the outer edge. Let's go ahead and finish that sketch. Let's go ahead and turn it a little bit of an angle. Let's extrude. The thickness of the part was 610 thousandths, 0.610. And 610 thousandths. Let's go ahead and put that one, 0.610. We also had a draft of 16 degrees. So let's go to the options. Let's add that taper in there. Okay, taper 16. make sure you go to another, because that's not the way we want it to go, right? That's a plane there, so we want it to run that opposite way. So let's change that to negative 16 and enter. That looks a lot nicer. We're going to hit OK. And there we go. We got the main body so far. Now, there are a lot of different ways to go through and do this. Order can sometimes be very important. Sometimes it's not as important. In this case, I want to go and work on this feature on the back here where this is open, okay? And right away you might say, oh, you do the shell. But if we do the shell, you can't set an endpoint for a shell on there. At least I'm not sure of a great way to do that. So we're going to go ahead and let's go ahead and create a sketch. So here's our clue. When we create that sketch, is an offset is 100 thousandths and having that 16 degrees of draft. So let's go back here and let's go ahead and do that extrude on this face. Okay. And let's go ahead and do the offset. Let's choose that first thing. Okay, and remember when we're offsetting, the selection of the rest involves using the shift. So we've got one selector. We're going to hold down shift, and then we're going to mouse over the other stuff. Okay, our offset is supposed to be okay, 0.1. There we go. So 100 thousandths. We're going to hit OK. And there we go. We got that. So the sketch is done. We're going to hit OK. Now we're automatically into the extrude mode. And remember, we want to cut that to a depth of, what was it, 1/4 of an inch? Yes, we want to go 1/4 of an inch in. And it still needs to have that draft of 16 degrees because we want to have that outside wall and then that inside wall got to run parallel to each other. All right, so let's go ahead and set that depth there to 0.25. Okay, we're going to change that to remove material. Okay, so we got 0.25. Now let's make sure, though, that when we look at this, I don't see any draft there. It looks like we're running straight up and down. So under options, let's add that taper. Type in that 16. That looks better. So we're farther out, we're wider. Our diameter is bigger here than it is here, so we're running the right way. If we were running the other way and we're reversed and it was too wide down here, we'd probably actually almost cut into the wall down here if we ran it the wrong way. All right, so we're good there. We have that on the back. Getting there. All right. Let's go back to that standard orientation. Let's look at taking care of these radii here. So we have 1/2 inch around here, 1/4 inch right here. Let's go ahead and knock those out. Round, and we're going to do a 1/2 inch round, 0.5. We're going to go ahead and click on just that edge, right? Just that corner. I'm going to hit OK. Got that one done. The second one, that other round, is 1/4 of an inch. And let's grab that right there. Creo says, I'm assuming instead of just this, you want to go all the way around. And we say, thank you very much. We got that. All right, we're looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. So now really what we need to worry about is a couple things. We got to knock out this keyway and we got to do this pass-through hole. All right, let's do the pass-through hole first and get that one done. Come back to our front face. That one would be also known as the bottom face. We'll go with the front. Let's do an extrude right away. Pick that face. Go ahead and do a concentric circle because we're going to be concentric to this guy right here. Okay, we left click to lock that in. And then it still wants to stay in that tool, so we're going to double left click to get out of there. Let's set the diameter of that to 1. Let's hit OK. Let's reverse that angle. Let's make sure that we're always going through all with that one instead of just setting an arbitrary distance in there. So that way, if we make some changes to some other things, that hole is always going to be through. A lot of this stuff is going to make a little bit more sense when we get further into some of these things. And you're going to say, that's why I was talking about that before, because it's not important now. Okay. Not hugely important now, but the more things we talk about now, the easier it is later when we get into those more complicated things, those more complex parts. And then we don't have videos that are 3 hours long, because some of these are long enough already by my own admission. All right, so to the front we go. And we have one last thing we need to do that's required, which is the key part. And then we can go ahead and put some text on there too. So let's go ahead and do another extrusion. We're going to go right here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. And we're going to create a rectangle. And there are a couple different ways we can do this. We know that this keyway, when we look at our plans for it, okay, we have our plans for it, and it says that it's 1/4 of an inch wide. It says, and we can see that it terminates where that pass-through hole is, and then it starts 1/4 of an inch from the center of this arc. All right, so that center of that arc, 1/4 of an inch up, it starts and it runs all the way into there, and it's 1/4 of an inch wide. All right. So there's a couple different ways we could do that, right? We could, let's see, let's do it this way. I'm going to do a rectangle like this, okay? And I'm going to draw half of this at a time. Okay, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to come and bring this right here, right? And I'm going to go ahead and let's mirror. We love this mirror tool. Okay, we're going to get out of that tool. We're going to mirror a couple of these things. All right, so we're going to mirror that on there. We're going to go across there. Let's make sure we mirror this too. See, we left something out. And this is another thing that's bears repeating here. When we have these little red termination lines on here, we see when we have something that's a sketch that's closed, gets shaded in with orange. That's something we can actually extrude and do something with. This is open and we can't do anything with it right now. So let's go ahead and hit OK. No, let's not hit OK on there yet. Let's go ahead and put the line tool on and let's go ahead and close this off. Okay, exit out of there. Still in the line tool. Left click, left click. Okay, and use that delete segment to get rid of that center line. And now, see, look at that. Now we get that solid. All right, so let's get some dimensions in here so that we can get this all set. We have a dimension for the width on the 1/2. Let's go ahead and replace that one. Okay, let's replace that one with one that goes from here to here and make that 0.25 wide, 0.25. And then we had to set this edge 1/4 of an inch away from the center of the center axis of this arc. Okay, let's go ahead and why don't we just replace that one too, and then go from here. Let's see if that'll wake up. Let's change our angle a little bit. Oh, wake up, little center. We need that center of that arc. And it's not wanting to show it to us. Well, let's just exit out of that one real quick. Okay. See, when we click on there, let's go to the front. there's always got to be something, right? There's always something. You're cruising along and you think, I got this, I got it done. And then something that is supposed to work doesn't want to cooperate exactly. And it can be very, very aggravating. That's right, though. We're almost done. So let's look at this. Let's go ahead and set that up and set the dimension from here to there. There we go. Now we got it to wake up. Over the side. Oh, nope. Dimension of that. There it is. The center to this over here. That gave us an angle. No, we don't want that one. Let's try it one more time here. Dimension of the center arc to here. That to that. This is one of those times where it's a little aggravating. We're just mistyping or misclicking a little bit here. It gets to be a little bit off. Let's get rid of this dimension here. Let's even get rid of that one. I don't like that one being there. That one's been causing us some problems. Mm-hmm. Better yet, let's do something else. This is another one that's really helpful. Let's put a point in. So look at that. We'll go ahead and we're going to add a point, and it's a reference that we can use. So look at this. We mouse over that. Our center comes up like it's supposed to. There we go. We got a point there now. Now let's go ahead and set this and this to be along with each other. So we can either set a dimension there, which is what we're going to do. We're going to do dimension from here to here of 0.25. Okay. And there it is. We hit OK. We're going to go ahead and move that key depth and have it cut in 1/4 of an inch into our part. 0.25. We're going to remove material. We're going to flip that arrow so that we cut, and we're cutting out. We're cutting that keyway. We're going to hit OK. There we go. All right, last thing. Let's go ahead and add one more thing here because it's got some text on here. It's worth looking at. Not a required thing on there, but it's one of those things. It's a good practice. And sometimes it's not a bad thing to go just a little bit farther with something. So let's go ahead and do an extrusion on that face right there. Let's do a text. And the first thing we want to do is we want to go ahead and set how tall that's going to be. So we're going to draw a little line. We're going to click. Move this out of the way. So we're 0.13 inches tall is what we were setting there. What's our text going to say? Going to say ECC. If I could just type here, ECC Corp, as it says on there. All right, and then we're going to place along a curve. Place it along that curve. And we're going to get this lined up where we want it to be. So now horizontal, it's on the left. Let's go to center. Oh, let's center that up right there. And vertical, if we go to middle, we're going to be right on the middle of that line. Go on the top of that line and see what that looks like. Okay, it's more in the middle. Actually, then the example, it's probably set up there, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and hit OK with that. We're Pretty happy with that. If we come back and we want to edit this again, if we click on this dimension, just like anything else, we could increase the size of that font 0.2, which looks a little bit better. And hit OK. Right into our extrude mode. I'm going to go ahead and deboss this. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out a little bit. So I'm going to flip this around. I'm going to go 25 thousandths in. I'm going to select remove material, flip my arrow around. And there we go. All right, last thing, just to make it look like something, let's turn those planes off. Let's go into view. Let's change that appearance. Let's find a brass, or there we go, polished brass, regular brass. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and draw a fence around the part. Hit that appearance. And there we go. Looking pretty nice. If we want to make it look even more interesting, we can go in and we can go into Render Studio. Make that thing look even nicer. And then we hear the computer start to scream as the graphics card kicks up. All right, there we go. Lab 3, L3 from exercise number 3, start to finish. You got L3B to handle on your own. Remember, you have that reference from Chris Sikora's videos as well, in case you run into some problems with that one. But I want to leave you guys working on that one on your own. That's it. All right, see you next time.